Okay, I didn't film taking the strings off because that'll just take way too long. Um, one thing I did do I will point out that I'm using is a taut roll just to keep the neck up. You don't want a guitar wobbling about and shaking about while you're trying to do it because you're just going to make more work for yourself than you should. And also something that you might want to, this is a tutorial so you can do it you can do it at home as well. But one thing that I do want to point out of the wood up here, the ebony. What's that ebony? But it's a darker wood. It's escaped me at this point. It's a lot darker up here than it is further towards the body, which it just tells me the character of the player that he normally plays chords up this way, and he doesn't play the guitar close to the body as much because that's where all the dead skin cells are going to be, and that's why it's darker up here than it is up there because it's been played more. And also, one thing that I do want to do is, whilst the guitar is in this state, with the strings off and all that, I want to try and take an opportunity to see what is wobbling, see what is loose and free. And one thing I noticed as the headstock, I was just taking the tuning heads off, sorry, the tuning picks on the headstock do actually come loose a little bit. Like you can see that I can just spin that one round. That will happen like regardless, but I'm just going to take the opportunity to because I don't have the appropriate tool at the minute. I don't have a wrench to put around it and actually to tighten up, so I'm just going to do it finger tight for now. I mean, that's all. You don't really need to put a wrench around it, I'd say. I mean, as long as it's not going to fall off, especially when you're doing it, I mean, you should be okay. You should really be alright. But again, this is just another opportunity to just, see what there is on the guitar that needs to be done. And see what you need to either polish up, shine up. I mean, I'm just going to move the guitar all the way down so we have a better shot of the body. So, can you see that? Please excuse my hands. Lift you up a little bit. Here we go. Tie you up. There we go. So this has got a. I think it's called a floating bridge. I've seen these a few times on Bigsby's and stuff. But yeah, this is just brass. It's a brass tailpiece, which I'm just going to lift this up and clean all under that, because that is just dust that you can't get to, especially when the strings are on the guitar. But it is such a stunning piece. I mean, a guitar is a piece of art just as it is. So I'm going to clean up around. I'm also, with this bridge here, I mean, this white piece of the bridge on acoustic guitars can fall out, but it seems to be so sunk and so low. I mean, I'm not going to move it around or anything because it is an electric. So I'm just going to keep it the way it is because that is the way the player always plays it. So I'm not gonna do any truss rod adjustments or anything like that, because especially when I inspected the guitar before, the truss rod seemed fine. It was completely fine. It was just basically fretboard, a general clean up on it, which I'm going to show how to do, and a fret job on it and replacing the string. So this is going to be one of the easier ways I can do it, or one of the easier things that you can literally do at home. So what I'm going to do, tie the hair up first, is just so slightly, or just to really get this done, because it's like I say, like, so up here it's a bit darker than it is down here, but I'm going to try and get it all on one level. I'm just going to try and get it all to the same pitch, or to the same, you know, no dirt on it whatsoever. Because otherwise, technically what you'll be doing if you don't use this, I mean, I'm only going to use, like, I've just pinched a bit of wire wool off there. Something like that, easy trick, in your hand, in a ball. There you go. I'm only going to do this to get, because you basically what's going to come off is sawdust, like the minuscule amount of sawdust, and then after that's done, I'm going to use these baby wipes, or it's any kind of wipe, or that I've let these dry out. So I've just got the cloth for it. And I'm just going to put I'll show you how to do it. We're going to put lemon oil on it and go for it. But first of all, one thing I'm going to do is that I've noticed, especially on the frets, is that light even doing me any justice, or is it not? Hang on. Not much difference really. Anyway, so I'll try to get close up so I can really show. I mean, I'm filming this on my iPhone, so the quality is what the quality is. So one thing we're going to do is get me guards out, and this is basically, so these are great, these are fantastic. I've tried to make them before, and I've just not been successful with it. But these are worth the wait. They're worth the money you pay for them. I think I paid maybe £3-4 for them on Amazon. I'm not too sure. Oh, I can't remember. But so you get a thinner guard for the frets further down the neck, because they're closer together. And you get a thicker one for stuff like these. So what I'm going to do, and one of the reasons why I'm going to use bog roll, you're going to see now, is because I'm going to take just the smallest amount, and it doesn't take a lot of time. It really doesn't. Just something like that, just over and over and over, back and forth, back and forth. Can you see that? I hope that shows up, but maybe there. So can you see this fret compared to that? I mean, that's done. These frets do need a bit of a once over with wire wool, but so that's what the fret looks like now, and that's what you can tell. Basically, that's just what 10 seconds of that did. Cleaned off. It just cleaned off the top of the fret, and it now looks shiny compared to that. So I'm going to do it one more time. I'll show you again. So that's how. So this is what the fret looks like now. If it shows up on camera, I just hope it does. Right, like this, over like that. Just over it, getting to each side. And one thing I do want to point out is, which I do the mistake often as well, and if you are going to do this part, I mean, right, just look at how shiny and beautiful that is. I mean, I don't think this guitar's been cleaned since my mate's had it, so yeah. I'm just hoping it looks like a brand new guitar and it gets it back. One thing I have noticed with people that do this, and I'm just as guilty of it as everyone else, is that when they're using the wire wool over the frets, just get a massive hand out of the way, sorry about that, I'll lift you up a little bit. Oops. There we go, that's better. So, one thing I've noticed that people do, especially with wire wool on the edge of the frets, is that they'll do this over it, and then as they're at the end of the fret, they'll go inwards, which will just get the parts of the wire wool stuck underneath the fret, and it's just it's a bit annoying, but it's something that I've learned to avoid too. So as you on the inside, like short strokes, they're in the middle, long strokes. So that is the outcome you get. So I'm hoping you can see that slightly. I don't know if that light has actually helped the situation or not. But mainly what I can see now is that these two are brighter than what that one is. Because what you're going to notice, especially when you take the strings off, you're going to see all the string marks where they've made contact with the fret. And not only that, really, especially when you take the strings off or you take the hardware off, you really do see the personality of the player. I mean, you see, I missed this bit out a little bit. Oops. You basically just with this, I can see that my friend he plays around this way quite a bit. I mean, he told me he does a bit of finger picking, or he does a lot of finger picking. So there's no marks on the body, as what I can tell. But yeah, he plays the paint most of the time, and I mean, middle of the neck is it's like a transition from light to dark, well, from dark to light, sorry. But yeah, so I'm hoping that comes up as well as it does. One thing I'm gonna do quick, I'm gonna go up to this fret. So I've just done these, so I'm gonna do up to this one. Then I'm gonna do the wire wool on fretboard and just basically do a bit of a how-to and a bit of just show you how to really do it, because especially to my knowledge anyway, I've not really seen a lot of people do it. There probably is people on YouTube that I've seen it or I've said to do it or whatnot, but it's kind of new to my mind, which I've kind of noticed people do it. I mean, I was a joiner at one point through my college days, but so I know wire wool can go on the fretboard. But yeah, so there we go. Right, so these frets are looking lovely. Right, so up to there, or this way down. One thing I should normally have really is just a little bit of tape with me, but no, it's not essential, so I don't really do it. But because normally I do this all the way down, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to do it on this section here where I've cleaned it up from. Then the next section I'll do off camera. So this section here, I'll show you quick how the technique I do. I mean, yeah. So here we go. And it really does take a lot. And the reason why I have the bog roll underneath it is, one, to keep the neck elevated. Like I said, you don't want the guitar rolling around and fighting you as you're trying to clean it or as you're trying to do your job, because that's just not going to help anything out. So that is to keep it stable, but also around it, the wire wool will flick off, and it's basically helping you keep a cleaner workstation. So after this, I can just, take off the bog roll, and it'll just, make clean easier. So very light touch. Don't there you go, just so you can see there. Very light touch, and take your time with it. You want to see, you'll notice the it coming off. Like, so I'm just gonna go backwards and forwards. The inlay is gonna be okay. The inlay will be fine. I mean, I've done this on many of my guitars, and it's just, all I'm really doing is taking the top layer of sawdust off, really. Like, what's gonna come off into the wire wool is really fine sawdust. Have you noticed, or I'm not too sure how well it comes up on on the camera. Have you noticed how the wood has become a bit lighter in colour compared to this one? Like, so yeah, the colours come up and it's lighter. And that is basically all I'm taking off. So you can see nothing really on the wire wool yet so far. But I'm just gonna go just over it. And this, again, this is basically taking the very, very top thinnest layer off. And I'm not applying pressure down onto it. The reason my fingers are like that is just so I have, you know, like I'm trying to make a bit more of a pinpoint on the wire wool. This is how seriously it will. That's just how I do it. I mean, the last thing I don't want to melt. It's got binding on the sides of it as well, which again, it's another thing to really take into consideration. If you're going to do this on a guitar, or if you're going to do a fret job on a guitar, one thing you need to take into consideration while you're doing it is, so the truss rod cover's on, that doesn't need to come off because there doesn't need to be anything, but if you are taking it off, just put a piece of tape on the side of it there. It's just so, because you don't want wire wool getting in places it doesn't need to be in. So it'll just be a pain in the ass really afterwards. So I'm going to do that and follow it down, and just make it a brighter wood tone as to what it is. This doesn't always. I must point out, you don't always need to do this. It's not a complete must on you know, on every time you do it. It's just, so if you say, for instance, if you're out touring and stuff like that, and it plays regularly and constantly, you got to think that you're taking off the skin of your fingers here doing this. I mean, that's what most of the time will cause your strings to die, or the strings to you know, get dirty, because it's just the it's your dead skin on it. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just cleaning off so I get to the bare wood of it, and almost like a brand new guitar. So yeah, one thing I will do, just because it's right next to me, dustpan brush on the side, brush it in. Just make it easy for myself. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. I'm looking underneath the camera to see if I've got the right angle or not. But yeah, you got a decent angle there. Right, that's all. That's the light to help me. Now where would I put it down? That's where I put it down. Okay, so I mean, to be honest with you, just at the touch now where it is, it's obviously going to be really, really smooth. It's really smooth and it's really clean, really. It's smooth and clean. And this, you can tell a bit more of the grain has popped out, a bit more of the, well, not the grain popped out, but I mean, you can tell it's a bit rougher and a bit smoother here. So that is one thing that I have noticed with it. So I'm just gonna keep going down, bit by bit, until we get to that. It's like I say, just be careful over it. Don't rush it as much. Don't rush it, and just take your time. I mean, taking your time is the best that you can really do with this. If you take your time, especially when you're looking after it, or when you're cleaning it, or when you put your strings on, if you take your time with it, you're going to do a better job. If you rush it, you're going to realise that everything's in the wrong order. So I'm going to continue up to the frets that I've done to, and I shall catch you soon.